South of the border, the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases has surged past 10,000. That number is expected to grow even more in the coming days. The governor of California says projections show 56% of his state could get the virus. That's 25 million people in California alone. Across the U.S., health officials are sounding the alarm about a severe shortage of essential supplies. But as Jackson Proskow reports, the White House insists it's managing the response.
As U.S. hospitals begin to buckle under the weight of the new coronavirus, doctors and nurses issued a grim plea for more supplies to treat patients and to protect themselves.
In ICU, we see the people coding. We see the people on the ventilator. There's lots of unanswered questions.
With a dire shortage of protective masks and ventilators, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control relaxed its guidelines, suggesting medical workers with exposure to COVID-19 but with no symptoms can keep working, advising they wear scarves and bandanas if they run out of masks. But in Washington, the president was unwilling to entertain any suggestion of a failure to prepare.
We were very prepared. The only thing we weren't prepared for was the media. The media has not treated it fairly.
After weeks of delay, the U.S. is now relaxing laws to allow construction masks to be used by medical workers, asking for existing antiviral drugs used to treat malaria to be tested on coronavirus patients.
To determine if an experimental or an off-the-shelf drug that's used for something else can safely and effectively treat patients.
As testing improves, the number of confirmed cases has skyrocketed. There are now more than 3,600 in New York City alone.
It feels like I have a belt around my lungs, so I can't take too deep a breath.
2 members of Congress are confirmed to have the virus. Several more are in isolation, as lawmakers debate a $1 trillion economic rescue package. The trajectory of infection suggests the U.S. is on the same grim path as Italy, facing an unprecedented crisis. Jackson Proskow, Global News, Washington.
The number of cases in Spain jumped 25% overnight. In France, 18%. Now, the Cannes Film Festival, arguably the world's most prestigious film event, is being postponed. But there's new alarm in Italy tonight. As Redmond Shannon reports, the death toll there has now surpassed China.
The Italian army on the streets of Bergamo, not to protect the living, but to transport the dead. The northern city is overwhelmed with bodies, so many of the victims are being moved for burial elsewhere.
Nurses and physicians are working round the clock, countless hours to fight this incredible situation.
Italy has now overtaken China in total coronavirus deaths, with a staggeringly high fatality rate. The nationwide lockdown is set to be extended beyond next Wednesday, a crisis worsened by many hospital staff testing positive too.
I contagi sono tantissimi, I morti.
We're not even counting the dead anymore, says this nurse. Our stress is through the roof.
Here in the UK, the government is being criticised for being too slow in encouraging and demanding social distancing. But on Friday, schools closed indefinitely, and bit by bit, London is grinding to a halt.
Some subway stations are closed, but British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said there is no prospect of a full lockdown in the capital.
We can turn the tide within the next 12 weeks, and I'm absolutely confident that we can send a coronavirus packing in this country, but only if we take the steps, we all take the steps that we have outlined.
Those steps include staying away from bars and restaurants, even though they're still allowed to stay open. Always an optimist, Johnson says there is hope.
We're in negotiations today to buy a so-called antibody test, as simple as a pregnancy test, that can tell whether you have had the disease.
The idea to allow people out of isolation as the crisis subsides. But the focus for now is managing a disaster that is yet to peak. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
We know you have lots of questions about this virus. Jeff will continue to consult with experts and try to answer them. So email your questions at globalnews.ca. On our website, you'll find a special page dedicated entirely to the new coronavirus. That's at globalnews.ca/coronavirus.